Hello, everyone. This is John Fish Chapman, and welcome to the Winners Only Podcast. Our goal here on the Winners Only Podcast is to help you. No matter what you're doing, whether you're an influencer on social media, whether you're a career student, whether you're an entrepreneur, faith-based leader, our whole goal is to provide you with the resources, the tools necessary to win. I believe that everyone was placed here in the earth to live a winning life. Most of the times we struggle, we lose in life because we don't have the necessary resources. We don't have the information to equip us to win in whatever area we're working in. And so that's what we are here to do. Now, this podcast, I'm going to say it now, is not for everyone. This podcast is specifically for those who desire to win, and not only win, but win on the highest level possible. No matter what level of life you're in, no matter what your status is right now, everybody that was born into the world, I believe, was designed to win. The question that I have to ask you right now, though, is how bad do you want it? Do you want it bad enough to do whatever means necessary to win? And not only win, but win your way. That is the most important key right there. Are you prepared to not only win, but win your way? This is Winners Only Podcast. Thank you so much. Share this with your friends. Share this with your families. Be sure to subscribe. Save it on your phone. Visit our website. Purchase our Winners Only merch. And let everybody know that it's our time to win. What's going on, Winners Only family? Lord, I'm all tie-tongue today, but I got a really special guest, y'all, that's going to be with us today. Listen, I told you guys, and I made a promise that I'm going to bring you top-tier guests who got something to say, who can help change the game, whether you're in ministry, whether you're in marketplace, wherever you serve. I promise you, what we're going to talk about today, you're going to want to get your notepad. If you're driving, you might want to pull over because we're going to give you some great content today. This is the Mrs. Tracy, or Miss Tracy, because it's M-I-S-S. Let me correct myself. Tracy Thomas. Y'all, she is one of the brains, one of the pillars behind a movement that we all kind of know about, Young Leaders Conference. She's worked with so many other great people. I'm going to let her tell more of her story and her resume and all of that good stuff. But welcome, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining us here in this particular podcast. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and especially because I get the opportunity to be with you on your podcast today. It's an honor to be considered. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tell people just a little bit about you. We'll get all of your handles and your IGs and all of that at the end, but kind of tell some people so they'll know who you are, because we need them to know. Tracy Thomas, kind of tell us some of the people you work with, all of that type of stuff.
Okay. Well, my name, as you said, is Tracy Thomas. I was born and raised in Rochester, New York. I currently live in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, technically on the Maryland side, PG County, shout out. But as far as for my journey, what I currently do, I do have a 9-to-5 job working full-time for the Census Bureau here in the DC area. But what I love to do, and what I have been blessed to have the opportunity to do, as you said, is to serve ministries, business owners, event hosts in the area of administration or administrative services. So some of the people that I work with, I absolutely am blessed to serve in this capacity for my home church, which is Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church. Shout out to Bishop Owens, co-pastor Susie Owens. Love y'all. And as far as for others that I worked with, I do, as you said, I am on the admin team for the More Group, or what is far beyond popularly known for the Young Leaders Conference, and now also Spirit and Truth. So shout out to Elder Mark Moore Jr. Hey. But besides that, I work with a number of other ministers in the gospel, also ministers in gospel music, as well as other event hosts, conferences. I've done administrative services for concerts as well. So there are a plethora of things that I've been blessed to be able to be a part of, serving in the area of administrative services.
Wow. I told y'all, she has a resume. And to every pastor, I really want you, ministry leader, whatever you do, paraministry, I really want y'all to key in on today's podcast, because one of the things that I've learned is that most ministries, we're good on the spiritual side of things, which means we know how to preach, we know how to teach, we know how to sing. But one of the areas that most ministries suffer, unless you hit a certain plateau where you're hitting mega church level or whatever, before we get there, one of the areas that we suffer in the most is administration. And so that's kind of the reason why I wanted Tracy to come on, because I want to really hone in on this administrative piece, on how important administration is in order for us to win in ministry. So talk to us about that. What made you step into this lane, and how did you discover the importance of administration and that others may need it? Kind of, how did you get involved in that?
That is a wonderful question. And I'm going to give you a short answer to a long story. So, but as far as for administration, this is something, honestly, that I've carried as sort of, I come to realize to be a mantle for much of my life. I was the one that was growing up in church. You know, what most people do, they get on the choir, right? They go sing in the choir. And I love doing so, but there was always that kind of road that led me to the administrative side of ministry, whether it be for choir, whether it be for whatever else I was a part of at the church. And it's honestly one of those things that, you know, how a lot of visionaries say that when they see something that just won't leave them alone, then they have to go down that avenue. And for me, that's how it's been with the admin side of ministry and with business. It's just the reason why I would tend to gravitate or be asked to fulfill those types of positions is because I was usually the one that would say, okay, I will get the roster list together, or I will send out the email. Don't worry, I'll contact the people that need to be in place to give them the information that they need in order to fulfill whatever is being done. And it's just one of those things that when I not only see that there's that void to be filled, but also if I see it not being done in the excellence that it should be.
Come on, that's powerful.
Then there's that pull, you know, right. There's that tug to, right. Fulfill that, so that whatever it is, whatever the effort that is going on, whether it be a project, whether it be a ministry effort or, a business venture, whatever, it can be done in a way that best shows the vision to be presented excellently.
Right.
Because I just feel like if there's a vision that, especially if it's a God ordained vision, it shouldn't lack just because there was a lack of information.
Right. Absolutely.
It shouldn't fall just because of something as small as somebody didn't get the email or the phone call in order to be in place to do what needed to be done.
Wow. So to the pastor, to the ministry leader, or to even the administrators that assist them, if they don't have them, I think they should at this point, because you've made quite clear the importance of having administrative help, having administrative leaders in place. What is the thing that you would tell a pastor right now that if he doesn't have that, or a leader of any spiritual capacity, what would you say for them to do right now? I don't have the people, or I don't have this and I don't have that. What are some advice that you would give them right now to kind of help in that area?
Most pastors are wonderful visionaries. Most pastors, they can see the end result. They can see the people in the crowd. They can see lives being changed at the end of the day. And what something that came to mind just as I was, thinking about even this opportunity today was that it's one thing to go from A to Z as far as for seeing the end results. But what many people don't realize is that there are 24 more letters of the alphabet before you get to Z.
Right.
And so if those I's are not dotted, if those T's are not crossed, then the preacher or the pastor doesn't have a congregation to preach to.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If it be the case that the information is not sent out, you're not going to have anybody that is going to tune in online. Right. You're not going to have anybody to come to the event, much less to know what to do when they get there. Right. And so a lot of people don't see or don't understand or consider what goes on behind the scenes that has to put not only the train in motion, but even the vehicle in place. And on the one hand, it's like for many admins, they feel overlooked in that area. But I think about it as actually a compliment. Wow. Because of the fact that if things are moving so seamlessly, such that what goes on behind the scenes doesn't even need to be thought of, that means you're doing a good job.
Absolutely. So what winning tools right now, if you have to give some tools or just don't give them everything, just give them something. But what is the tool right now that you think that administrator would need to make her or his job better? What could they do to assist that leader, that visionary, to make that vision come to life and really progress forward? What are some of those tools or strategies that you would recommend? Just give us some surface stuff. Don't give us the deep
surface. Okay. Of course, I would recommend, if you are in ministry, such that if you are, a part of the team that is shepherding people, and therefore you need to allow for the people to have a portal to be able to go to see what's going on, get information and things like that. There are a lot of all-in-one, I'll call them, tools that will not only allow for you to send out communication in mass bulk communication, as well as to individuals, but also to post schedules. So like as far as for teams that need to be in place by a certain time and perform certain roles and responsibilities, as well as for doing event registration. There are some all-in-one tools, such as Fellowship One is a wonderful tool.
Yeah, I heard of that one.
Yeah, it's awesome. Matter of fact, I just spoke to one of the POCs, one of the sales representatives earlier today from one of the ministries that I do administrative services for. And so tools like that for pastors that need to become more organized with their workload, or, even for sermon prep, study tools and things like that, as well as doing the people piece of it. I would recommend things like there's a tool called Faith Life that does something similar to Fellowship One. ACS is another tool that does a good job, or at least gets the job done. But if you're one that doesn't need all of that, and if you're somebody who therefore just does the admin tools or admin services for events, so to speak, for registration, I would say JotForm is a wonderful tool. Brushfire is a great tool. There are others, Ticketlocity, if you're having an event that, has certain sections of seating and things like that, that also allows you to generate your roster of attendees. That's a wonderful tool. If you are doing team management, or if you're doing the admin side of the team, then of course, communication tools such as you can have your simple texting or your text alert system. Mobile text alerts does the same thing as far as for sending out blast text messages to people that you need to receive information really quick via their cell phone. Right. As far as for other communication, you have MailChimp.
Right.
You have, Constant Contact is a great one. So what I would say, those are a lot of practical tools to perform admin functions, but it really boils down to you learning who it is that you're serving.
Wow. That was going to be my next question. Before you go too deep, you're tapping into the vein. We're going to lead into this. Now, what most people don't get or really truly understand that it really takes a special person to have the mindset, to have the humbleness and the right spirit to work alongside a visionary leader. They, it's different from just saying, hey, I'm a member and we work in church together. At that particular point, there's a different type of intimacy that's required, because now you're learning that leader both from a spiritual perspective,
absolutely,
but also a personal, natural perspective. Talk about that, because that's important. I don't think a lot of people get that. Hey, I would love to be the administrator. I want to be an executive administrator, whatever, for my pastor or for my church or the ministry. Talk to them about what that's like and what's needed to be functional and be optimum in that area.
I think that the common mistake that a lot of people make is that they glorify what they see in the pulpit or on the stage, in the limelight, and forget that the person that's being used in that moment is a person when they put that mic down.
Wow.
And so, a lot of times people have a hard time, especially in the area of, oh, I want to serve this person. Oh, it would be awesome to be on that team and things like that. And they make the mistake of falling so in love with what is presented publicly that they have a hard time divorcing public from private.
Wow. Come on.
And so, really getting to know the person that you're serving for the person that they are is, first of all, the key to success, if you will, as far as for serving them.
Wow. So how do you handle the anointed person, leader, and the humanity of that leader without being affected by it from a negative perspective? So sometimes it's almost like I see administrators as sometimes armor bearers in a sense, where you got to really be able to be strong enough to handle what you see behind the scenes, because that leader won't always be strong.
Yes.
And it's your ability to see them vulnerable and still remain committed, to still remain faithful. I mean, talk to them about that piece, because I'm pretty sure you've seen some leaders at their lowest space and their most human moment. How do you handle that place?
I think not only piggybacking off of what you said as far as for seeing them in a vulnerable space, but also seeing them for their weaknesses, or recognizing the weaknesses that they have. One of the things that a lot of us who are admins bring to the table is the strength where our leader is weak.
Wow.
And so being able to recognize this as a weakness, but also being able to recognize that you're bringing this strength to pretty much be their Aaron and hold their arms up.
Wow.
Is what you're doing. And that we're doing this not to serve, Elder Moore says this all the time, that he doesn't need people on the team feeling like they're doing him a favor. And I love when he says that, because there are going to be times when, because you most of the time are working with a visionary that only sees the end goal and therefore doesn't even understand, much less agree with what you're presenting in regards to the steps along the way administratively, then navigating through those valley circumstances and still being able to put forth the same level of excellence in your service, not for the person that you're serving, but for it bringing glory back to God. You're not doing this to just serve people. We're doing this because this is a gift that God has given. As far as for us who are admins, this is a gift that God has given to us. So ultimately, we do what we do to bring glory back to God, and not because of, the person that we're serving. This is, I like this, I like how they preach, or I like how they sing, I like how they do this and this and that, in the public eye, because there's going to be some private moments that are not going to be too pretty. You know what I mean? And so not only being able to see them in their vulnerable places, in their weakest areas, but then also being able to recognize that even with their flaws, that God has still given them a vision and still giving us as admins the opportunity to fulfill the vision that God has given.
Wow.
Is what is the most important thing to keep at the forefront, to keep you doing what you're doing.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so let's talk more about Tracy now.
Okay.
So we know what you know. You've given us this wisdom. You've given us these nuggets, some resources. But I want to talk a little deeper right here in this space. What is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it?
My God. When I tell you, one of the things that I heard, we did this like elders edition of Bible study for our church. We've been doing Bible study virtually, even though we've opened the doors in person, at least at limited capacity for our church. And one of the things that one of the guest speakers, one of the elders of our church said during his presentation was, it's not about losing. We either win or we learn the lesson.
Come on, you at Win Church now. You talking Win Church language. We don't lose, we learn. Come on.
We learn the lesson. It reminds me of a time that, I carry this with me to this day, and it makes me all the better, I would think, as far as for being diligent in the area of doing administrative services, because there was once upon a time I was at a gospel concert here in the local DC area. This is going back about a good, I would say at least 7 years ago now, maybe. And so, gospel concerts at that time, this is pre-COVID, of course, go on all the time. This is one of like the greatest choir hubs of the country. And so we were at a concert, and somebody who was very well known in the gospel industry, has been doing this thing for like decades, came to the concert, and I so happened to, have worked with them before. So I knew them, I was sitting up front, in the first and second row or something like that. And so because the person who put the event on, this particular artist has been a favorite of theirs for like a long time. And so this artist turned to me and said, Tracy, what is their name again? What is their name? I want to shout them out when I get up to say a few words. And so, of course, he said, is their name such and such and so-and-so? I think it is, right? And so and I don't even remember if I was just too starstruck or if I really for real knew, believed that this was the answer or what. But long story short, I told them a name that was not actually their name. From what I thought it was. And so, of course, for an admin, that is an epic fail. Epic fail to ever give or receive the wrong information. Right?
Come on.
And so, of course, when they got up to give their remarks, a few words, thank you so much to XYZ ABC. And the person's like, oh no, my name is actually this is that. And so, of course, complete embarrassment, right? But what it taught me is not only the importance of accuracy,
come on,
but carrying that experience to this day makes me want to do a double take, review that email over again, make sure that you have everything, if you got to put it forth to a second person to review that email or review that the information that goes out, or especially if it be the case that you're out and you're in the moment, then it's okay to say, I don't know. You know what I mean? But let me find out that answer for you. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that it taught me that the things that we do privately show up publicly.
Absolutely.
And
now,
so that
is so good.
Yes, from that case to this.
All right.
Never again.
She said, "It ain't never happened again."
Never. Okay.
So, we're moving good. I got a couple more questions, and I'm gonna let you go. But I want to get this out. What is one of the biggest myths about administration that you would like to debunk? Like, if there was one thing about administration that you want to kill right now, what would that one thing be?
That everything is just going to fall into place.
Wow. Come on. That's heavy.
I mean, one of the biggest, I would say, test of relationship. Let's call it that. Test of
Right.
relationship, or the biggest misunderstanding, especially when administrators are dealing with their leaders or dealing with a visionary, is that, oh, that's easy. They're just gonna put it together, or oh yeah, because especially if they're ones who just see the end result. Oh yeah,
Right.
people gonna come. Oh yeah, if I put it out there, they gonna show up. Oh
I've
yeah,
been guilty of that. I'm guilty. I raised my hand.
Or you know what I mean? Sometimes, as far as for even if it's announced, oh yeah, people they know where to go. Yeah. No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. It takes time. It takes effort. And even if that misconception is on the admin side, as far as for, oh yeah, I could just put this email together. They'll send it out. They'll understand just by me putting the information and sending it out to them. No, a lot of times, one of the things that I've learned is that there's a difference between efficiency and effectiveness.
Come on, work.
There's a difference. Yeah. Efficiency, make sure that you get the job done.
Right.
And that you're able to check the box, right?
Right.
You're efficient. Especially if you do it on time, you do it under budget, you're efficient. But effective means that not only are you able to check the box, but that you achieve the desired results.
Wow.
And so sometimes in order to achieve that desired result, it takes you putting in the work to plan. It takes you putting in the work to coordinate. It takes you putting in the work to look at your schedule, do proper schedule management with your time. It also makes sure that you are diligent, not only in sending out the information, but making sure that you provide a way for people to reach back to you, to be able to get their questions answered, because questions are going to come, as well as ensuring that your intent, or like there was one post that I posted, I think it was yesterday, the day before that the message that is sent is also the message that is received.
Wow, come on.
Sometimes people
so powerful.
Yeah, people can sometimes have the best of intentions with what they put out. But sometimes if the recipient doesn't understand what it is that you're putting out, they don't know they don't have a good grasp or enough information to go on as far as for what you're putting out. And especially if what you're putting out does not reach them for any other reason, then they're not going to respond to you in the way that you want them to respond.
Wow. So let me piggyback. You're giving it to us, and I'm loving this. Like, I hope y'all catching this. Y'all better be taking notes, because this right here is some heavy stuff. She like throwing all kind of guns at her. I feel so bad right now for everybody I didn't send an email to, and I didn't send the right stuff, and my punctuations was off, and I didn't dot my I's and cross my T's. Here's the $1 million question that I gotta have you answer before we leave. What is your definition of winning?
Wonderful question. My definition of winning is what we like to call in the project management world. That's what I have my degree in, my 9-to-5 job, is continuous improvement.
Come on now.
And not only continuous improvement, but being able to see the results in regards to the lives that you've impacted, in regards to not only achieving the goals that you set for yourself, but also not conforming to what others expect of you if it does not line up with what God gave to you.
Come on now. I love that. I love that. Mm-hmm. Wow. So talk to us and tell us so we can know how we can connect. How can one person that is a leader, that's a visionary, work with Tracy Thomas? Hey, my life is a mess. My ministry is all scattered. I got vision all day long. I done wrote it down. I thought I made it plain, but for some reason it ain't running. how can I need Tracy in my life? How can I connect? How can I work with you?
Well, I have been blessed to be a business owner, like, filed with the state of Maryland and everything. I do have a business called the Business of the Kingdom, where we provide administrative services for businesses, ministries, and events in the areas of communication, correspondence, schedule management, document creation, event services, and the list goes on. We also do empowerment sessions, such as teaching in the areas of Gmail, or what is now called Google Workspace, which was formerly known as G Suite, or Microsoft 365, and even best practices of administrative services. You can reach us on Instagram and Facebook at the Business of the Kingdom. All, it's spelled just like how it sounds.
Right.
You can also visit our website, which is www.thebusinessofthekingdom.org. And we would love to connect with you via any of those methods.
Wow. This has been an amazing podcast. Listen, y'all got heavy information today. And I'm going to bring her back on something. We're going to connect. The podcast is just the beginning, but I know that there's some more that she has to say, some other stuff that she can really give us to help us win, whether you're in ministry or marketplace. But here's what I need y'all to do. I need you to go subscribe. This episode is going to be dropping soon. But Tracy, thank you so much for taking out the time. You work full time. You're running your company. You're helping other people keep their life together. And you still took out the time to be on Winners Only Podcast. And so we thank you. We honor you for your time and being with us. Thank you so much. And listen, you guys, if you haven't went and subscribed on all platforms, whether it's Apple Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, whatever podcast can be accessed, we are there. So go subscribe to Winners Only Podcast, where all we do is win and provide winning information and conversation. All right. Take care. We'll talk to you guys later. Be blessed. Keep winning.
Take care.